here, we're the Clark family, and we've sold our house and packed up our lives and moved to Galicia in northern Spain.
So follow us as we start our new lives, learn new skills, join a new community and try to live a more sustainable life.
So one thing you're always going to need, whether it's a no-dig system or a traditional gardening system, is compost. So even though we've not been able to source a major amount of compost, we thought, well, at least we can crack on and start making our own. So this project's been going on for a couple of weeks in its various guises. So Zane and I decided to crack on with making some compost bins. We started off being very technical about it, measuring from corner to corner, setting out the compost bin so everything was perfectly in line, and we envisaged a construction which would be perfectly lined up and level, and we'd be able to eye it through. But as you'll see on this bit of footage here, we started off with great intentions, but by the end of it, the result wasn't quite as good. We didn't take into account the loss of level of the ground, so this post that you can see going in here, this very first post, is buried, but by the time we get to the very last post we put in, it was actually out of the ground because the way the ground levels worked out. So it was actually suspended by the other bits of timber, so we had to make the ground level up. We just didn't take that into account when we were sort of designing this in our heads. You'd have thought somebody with a HNC in qualification in civil engineering would have taken this into account, but no, we just cracked on. We just wanted to get it built, and the end result was good, but I'm not sure the way we did it was the best. But you live and learn. Once we'd built the sort of carcass of the compost bins, we infilled the outside and the intermediate walls in between the compost bays, leaving air gaps to allow air to be able to get into the compost, to allow the necessary biological, chemical reaction to take place. Rather than installing a hinged door system, we opted for these sliding panels that we could just slide in and out of the front, which we could add in as the compost built up, and would allow us, when we needed to dig out or rotate the compost, would allow us to remove a panel at a time to allow access and allow easy access with a shovel basically, or a fork. Once we'd completed the bins, we had a pile of rotting material already on site, so we started to bring that from its location just behind the bins. So we brought that across and filled the first bin up with that already rotting material, and within a day or two you could feel the heat being generated by the compost. So that biological process of breaking down the material was well on its way.
Hola, buenos dias. It is Wednesday morning. We've just dropped the kids off at school. We've mentioned in previous videos that we've been struggling to get hold of some compost, and Adam and I were discussing yesterday about whether we could buy some sort of till. What are they called?
Rototiller.
What's a rototiller? And we had a look in the Husqvarna shop, and they had one there that was about €400 for what we wanted. So we really talked a lot about actually digging the plots that we wanted to grow in, but it's really not what we believe in. Adam's a better person to explain about why we want to do no dig than I am, but basically you just need to look after the soil, and digging it all up and disturbing the ecosystem that's already well established in there is not healthy for growing. So also, digging sounds like a lot of bloody hard work, and I'm not up for that. So I did not give up on the compost idea, and I have found somebody that will sell us a mixture of sheep and goat manure after having spoken to them on WhatsApp, because let me tell you, my Spanish language skills do not involve discussing manure in person. So with the help of Google Translate and WhatsApp, we've arranged this morning to go and collect 25 40 kilogram sacks of well-rotted goat and sheep manure. So got Adam Grease on because I think it's going to be a bit of a smelly job. Also now thinking that wood digging have been less hard work than loading the van and then unloading the van of 25 40 kilogram sacks of manure. I don't know, guess we're about to go and find out. When Adam and I got together 18 years ago, I can't say that I ever foresaw in my life that one day I might go and collect 20 bags of manure from a farmer about an hour away, but here I am and I'm loving it.
Morning. So it's been a couple of days since we filled the compost heaps up with sheep and goat poo, and lots of grass clippings and wood clippings, etc, etc. Mr. Amazon has dropped us off a compost thermometer, so we're just going to check to see how the compost's going, see if it's actually heating up, see if it's doing its thing. And I can tell you now, I know it's doing its thing, and I don't think you'll be able to see this on camera, but I can see heat rising off of certainly this compost bin at the end here. So we'll start with the middle one and see how we go. So according to the compost thermometer, we're looking for a temperature of between 38 and 54 degrees, which is ideal, an ideal temperature for the bacteria to break down the compost correctly, kill all any seeds off or weed seeds that may be in there. Here we go.
God, immediately you can see the steam when you lifted that. I just can't see it on camera.
Come round here. This is too hot, I think. Oh, it is hot. Can you see it? Do you know what temperature we got there?
It's just about 70.
So that's probably a bit too hot. So I'm going to have to go in and do some research on how to cool that down. I know normally what you do, you perhaps make the heap a bit smaller, spread it out a bit,
dissipate the heat. I'm wondering if putting some water on it just to saturate it a little bit would take a bit of heat out of it. But I'm going to go away and do some research on that just to find out. So this one's just about moving into the right range. This was a much drier set of grass clippings and wooded matter we put in here. So this was a much drier compost mixture, I think is the right word. So I think this is just getting up to temperature. So I'm quite pleased with this. So I think in a day or two this one will be up to the correct temperature and it'll be absolutely spot on. This is the one we're still filling up. So the stuff that's coming out of the kitchen, any sort of stuff we're getting off the garden is going in here. So that's immediately shooting up. So this is working. This is working well. Perhaps a bit too well. So what we're looking, 62 degrees, 64?
65.
Yeah, again it's a little bit warm. So I'm going to go away and do a bit of research on how to perhaps cool these down a little bit. Perhaps we've put a bit too much sheep poo in there. That's why they're perhaps working a bit too quick, a bit too hot. But like I say, we're going to do some research, find out. My gut feeling is perhaps a bit of water on there just to cool it down, but we'll have a look. So we've been talking about no-till and production of compost in this video, but we've come to a bit of a realization that to actually go for a true no-till system, even on this scale of these initial 5 beds, the 16 tons of compost required to achieve that 8 inches, 200 mil depth of initial compost. The cost of it and the logistics of getting it here are going to be prohibitive. So we've decided that we're going to go for a bit of more of a hybrid system, whereas we are going to till these initial beds and plant some green manure on there, or more what's commonly known as cover crops, and allow them to grow over the winter. The ones we've selected should terminate with a frost and then be well rotted back into the ground by the time it's time for us to start putting our crops in. That seems a much better option for us financially. You know, 16 tons of compost. We've had quotes of about £100 per ton. Well, not even per ton. You know, so we're looking at sort of 1,600 quid or 1,600 euros. Just to get this initial 5 beds off the ground on a true no-till basis, and you know, these 5 beds aren't even making a dent in this acre field. So yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to press on with that. We're going to dig this. We're going to dig these 5 beds up. We're going to get the cover crops in for the winter, and we're going to go from there. Hopefully the compost bays that you can see behind me will produce, I don't know, 3 cube of compost by next spring, which will be enough for us to use to get these initial beds going with with an inch or 2 of compost dug into it, or not dug into it. It's no dig, but you know, spread across the top for the initial seedlings to give them the best chance. Also, this area behind me here, we've ordered a polytunnel this week, 15 meters long by 4 meters wide, and it's going to go in this area here. There we go, this area here. So we're going to till that over the next couple of days as well, to prepare the ground for installation of the polytunnel. And I guess we're gonna have to bite the bullet and buy some compost in to get that going. It's not ideal, but you know, we've got to get things moving. As you can see, it's quite nice here today. It's 25 degrees. It's going to be up to over 30 over the weekend, but it's October, or almost October. You know, the weather could change quite quickly. So we need to get these things in the ground. We need to get them germinated. We need to get things growing.